right, so we're in the bar. And Kayleigh's going to be walking us through some of the other product. You and I are going to do the soju, because we kind of talked about this lightly on the podcast. So my first question, and it kind of goes with the soju, the still and mash. How accurate was that? I'm a huge MASH fan, all right?
It's funny, you don't know any of my background with that TV show, do you?
I have no clue whatsoever.
My late Aunt Connie was the medical supervisor for MASH, and the second to the last episode was dedicated to her.
Oh, wow.
So as a child, I used to regularly visit the set to visit my aunt. Now, I will tell you, this is another factoid about MASH. There is a local individual here you've probably heard of that was a reoccurring extra on MASH, Chef Jeff Osaka.
Yes.
So Jeff and I have this weird tie that both of us had historical ties to MASH. But I remember looking at that still as a child. That still is not a still. It is a movie prop.
It is.
It totally didn't work at all.
Bunch of beakers, some medical tubing.
Oh yeah, I loved it.
I laughed, but it was such a cornerstone.
And here's the thing, I tell people that one of the pivotal moments of my becoming a distiller was visiting my distant relatives down in Louisiana and being taken to the cousin's house. I have no idea who these people were, where they were running a still in the backyard and seeing the still run. But I have to think that, because MASH was such a big part of my life because of my family involvement on the show, I've probably seen every episode a dozen times.
Absolutely.
Right?
Right.
I cannot imagine that didn't somehow influence where I landed. So no, that still would not work, but
it's such an icon.
It was such an incredible piece of the entire genre of the show that affected a lot of people. Yeah, I honestly don't think I'd be a distiller if MASH hadn't been what MASH was.
Been part of it. So, brings me to the soju.
So soju is a family of spirits. They come from Japan, and they are spirits that are double fermented, much like sake. So sake is fermented with both yeast and koji, rice that's been inoculated with mold. And so the mold will metabolize complex carbohydrates that the yeast won't, creating a higher level of alcohol, but an entire another level of flavor components or conjugers. What we do here at Golden Moon is we do a mugi soju, and by that I mean a soju made from malted barley, very closely related to our single malts, except we do a double fermentation, and we use a yellow koji, which is a brown rice that's been inoculated with a yellow mold. We get that double fermentation, and it totally changes the character of that spirit. And the product we sell currently on the market is 40 ABV. We created our Golden Moon Colorado Mugi Soju out of the same two-row Moravian barley we use for our single malts, using the same Rocky Mountain runoff water from the Clear Creek and Montezuma watersheds, using an organic brown rice koji, our proprietary yeast. Most sochus are single distilled. We double distill it because it gives us the flavor we want. We've entered it in only one competition to date, the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, where we took a gold medal. So every single malt grain to glass product we've ever done at Golden Moon is going gold or double gold. And we're selling it in various states around the country.
Okay.
Strangely, this is also probably the only soju in the world that is kosher certified.
Oh.
And just in case our Jewish friends want to drink some Japanese spirit.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's so many cool distilleries in Colorado. There's so many really great operations that do lots of different stuff. That's not what you were expecting, was it?
That is nothing like I was expecting.
Everybody thinks this is going to be like white lightning.
Well, and I was expecting like that harsh bite and that kind of like that overpowering sensation that you get when you take that first nip and you're not expecting the
So this is
flavor.
40 ABV. There's no age on this. This is straight out of the still, deproofed, put in a bottle.
This is spectacular. This is just nice and smooth and warming. There's no harsh bite.
Nice sweetness off of the barley, but then you get an earthiness that comes off of the koji, off of that secondary fermentation.
Okay.
It's going to create an entire different family of flavors.
Wow. So this is what we tore up in the studio.
So we're going to set the soju aside.
Which, it seems painful to do. Yeah, take that. I'm just gonna keep this. Even like the aroma afterwards is just so
what
delightful.
I want to do for you, is this is So you tore this up.
Is that the one I tore up?
Principium.
Yeah, we killed that.
Principium is a double distilled whiskey, aged in New American oak.
Okay.
Okay. Triple is the exact same whiskey, but triple distilled in the Irish style, which I've talked about before.
Mm-hmm.
This took a gold in 2019 at the World Spirits Competition in San Francisco.
Okay.
This took a double gold in 2021.
Wow.
And so I want you to start with the double distilled and then go with the triple distilled. And you tell me which one you like.
This is the one I know I just loved because I raved about this on the podcast, and I don't. The bottle was gone before you were out the door.
I actually saw it get finished off.
Yeah. See, and again, the smoothness, the richness, and I know it's not caramel, but it's just so caramely and delicious, and it's
So that's the sweetness coming off the malt.
Yeah.
I mean, malted barley is inherently sweet.
It's just
And one of the things
good.
when we created all of our malt whiskey products here, we use a proprietary yeast. We use a different method of mashing than most other people use.
right.
And the reason we do both is we really wanted our single malts to be malt forward. We didn't want to do what most American single malt producers do, and that's mash like a brewer.
Right.
We want to mash differently, and we want to mash in such a way as to bring forth that malt character. I mean, we're in Colorado. This is beer country. This is malt country. And we wanted our Colorado single malts to scream, we are different than everybody else's whiskey.
So I'm gonna try now. This is the triple.
Correct.
This is my new best friend.
The variation in colors, we do different batches. Every barrel is different. And so the timing in the barrel is the same. What's happened with this one is the barrel was a little darker, more darkly charred. So we got a little more color out of it. But the big difference is that third distillation.
Wow.
And while this is a great product that I love, and it's a gold medal winning product, this is a double gold for a reason.
Yeah, and I can see why. It's hard pressed to see anything else come even close to that.
Golden Moon. Triple Colorado single malt,
That
available
is
at a retailer near you. If they don't have it, ask them to order it. Just saying.
Yummy. Are you still learning as a master? I mean, are there still things out there?
Absolutely. When people start using that dirty term of master distiller, it often means you don't get to distill.
Right. And we talked about that on the podcast.
We did. We talked about it on the podcast, and it's frustrating to me that I don't get to do the fun stuff that brought me into this industry.
Right.
Part of the reason I consult is because I get to do the fun stuff. And as a distiller, every time I create a new product, every time I do R&D, every time I crack one of my old books, every time I walk into another distillery, I don't care if it's a big distillery, a small distillery, I learn something. And God willing, I will never stop learning till the day I die.
Thank God to hear that.
So, everybody, if you love what you've seen here, please come visit us. Please come to the Speakeasy. Ask your local bodegas to buy our products. And if you're feeling like you'd like to be a part owner of a distillery, go to wefunder.com. Look up Golden Moon Distillery. We're in the middle of a crowdfunding raise. Lots of really fun, cool perks, cocktail jiggers, hats, free bottles, etc. If you invest, you can invest as little as $250 or as much as $50,000 or more. So please look us up, come visit us. Thanks for listening to me blather on and on about booze.
We shall let Stephen go because I know you got to go and take care of stuff. We are now in the more than capable hands of Kayleigh. And you have quite the spread for us, and you know the stories of all of these.
Correct.
So my first question is, did you have a love of booze, or have you developed one now based on everything that you've got going on here?
I have had a love for booze because it made me money. But now I have an appreciation for it because I know where it's coming from, and I
Right.
know I've grown my palate because of Steven to taste different products, and I can tell more what is inside of those products.
So what is your favorite? What do you tend to lean towards now versus what you did prior?
So since we have such a large spread of all of our products, it's taken me a couple years to figure out what my favorite is.
Right.
But I will have to say the Ex Gratia is my favorite. It is so good.
The label That is wicked awesome. I love that.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with this product, especially at our speakeasy during Halloween time. The ingredients for this product is from one of Stephen's books that date back to the 1500s. So they would give you a shot of this right before you were going to get executed.
Oh, well, you know, you get your last meal and, well, your final shot.
Exactly.
Wow.
Kind of calms you down a little bit. It just has a really interesting backstory. And I love it because it's a very, very unique taste to it.
Okay.
So we'll do that second to last. We'll start with the sweeter stuff over here.
Okay.
And I say sweeter lightly because I don't really like sweet stuff, but I love these products, especially our dry curacao here. It's a very versatile liqueur. So it's an 80 proof liqueur, 40% ABV. It is really good mixed in with whiskey cocktails. It's really good by itself or in like a margarita in place of triple sec or Cointreau. So I'll have you taste the dry curacao in that. So how I kind of explain it to customers.
So the citrus and the orange flavor is just delightful.
Yes,
Oh my
it's really
God.
good. And it's not too overpowering sweet,
It's not.
but it also has, like, you could drink it by itself.
I like that a lot. Oh my.
Yeah.
All right, well, there goes that bottle. I guess I'm gonna be picking that up next. All right, what's next?
All right, so we're gonna do the Applejack brandy.
So this is, you also have this going on in the back right now.
Correct, yeah.
I mean, it's just sparkling clear. It looks just like iced tea.
Yeah, it's really good. I really like this product because it's not overpowering. So the smell of the Applejack brandy is going to be more appley than the flavoring of it. So the taste of it, you really get that apple on the back end. So when you breathe out. So I really enjoy this product in like an Applejack Manhattan instead of a whiskey or something.
Okay.
It just has really good flavor profile to it.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and give
And
this a
Apple
go.
Jacks are my favorite cereal, so
I mean, hey.
I figure the only thing that's gonna be missing is the spoon in the bowl.
Yeah, well, you can replace your milk with this.
You don't even have to get up close to smell.
No.
Just,
And
wow.
yeah, just be ready to get your world rocked right there.
Wow. And you're right, it does kind of come back with that apple and like I almost want to say a touch of cinnamon, just that, American pie happiness right there.
Yep.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely not overly sweet.
No, it's a lot drier of an impact than I was expecting, which is great because it does bring out that flavor and those notes at the end on the exhale because it just flattens out and just brings the body back at the end, and that is so delicious.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That is a good one.
So the grappa, so we make 3 different kinds of grappa. And we have a Riesling, a Muscat, and a Chard. Well, this one that we're doing today is gonna be the Riesling. This is a little bit sweeter, and it is made from the same still that our Applejack brandy is made from. So our grappa, we get made with the pomace of grapes from Book Cliff Winery we partner with in Boulder. And we use the pomace of their grapes, and that is what we use to distill the grappa. So we use white grapes, obviously, rather than red, which is a difference as well. So let's rock your world again.
Yay!
This grappa is a little bit more palatable, just because it is a little bit sweeter.
It is a little bit sweeter. It does not have the same harsh bite that you're expecting for a grappa. That is really a pleasant surprise. And my brother would love that because the family is actually from Napoli, so I'm very familiar with grappas.
Yeah.
But this is, like you said, this is unlike any grappa I've ever tried.
And I did that for a purpose, to cleanse your palate there before we get into the real hardies.
This is just, wow.
All right, so here is the heavy hitter.
All right.
Star of the show.
Let me do my stretches.
This is my favorite one to even describe to people because it's so different.
Okay.
It has a really, really different flavor profile. It's almost too hard to pinpoint the flavor profile.
Okay.
So every time that they'll come in and they ask, like, I'm going to a party or a gathering and I want something very, very different. And so I always recommend the Ex Gratia because it's very hard to pinpoint the flavor profile, and it's very well liked on about 90% of the people that try it.
So the ones that don't like it, there's something wrong with.
Right. They should probably do something else.
They should. Sure.
Oh, that's slightly big, but you're fine.
I'm fine.
You're good.
Yes.
So this one, like I said, very, very different. Each sip that you taste is going to be you'll be able to tell a different ingredient.
Right.
Yeah.
Because even just smelling it, like you said, it's like an overpowering of just so many different scents and flavors that it's just, you could probably just sniff this all night and get the same effect. This is spectacular. Wow. Honey and richness and just, wow.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay. And I know,
That's a 50 ABV.
wow.
So it's 100 proof.
This is, and I mean, I don't want to like undersell it, but this is unlike anything I have ever tried. I mean, immediately upon like sipping it, I thought of like American honey from Wild Turkey, whoever has American honey.
Who doesn't? I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, everyone's got their own little American honey, but
Right.
I mean, immediately there's that connotation with like the richness and the flavors and all of that, but so much more after you just kind of just like let it simmer.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
There's a lot on the front, middle, and back end.
Yes. That is dessert is what that is. Shit.
Right. And I mean, it's just so good. I love it. I always recommend it to people because
Do you have a rack of it
it's
at
so
home?
different. Yeah, of course. I mean, they're empty, but
That is addicting is what that is. I need a bottle of that.
drum roll, please.
So now, but I'm not a big fan of the licorice flavor. Now, my brother is a huge absinthe fan, and there's a lot of misconceptions that like basically follow this
Right.
brand, this label, this flavor. if you
Everything
will.
about it. Yeah.
But it's not the absinthe of old where you're gonna get addicted and you're gonna die from a drug overdose.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like the biggest myth of it is that you will hallucinate.
Yes.
We do not have any hallucinogens in ours, unfortunately.
It is Colorado, you never know.
I mean, it is a 62% product.
Okay.
So, very high proofed. It's about 130-ish. If you drink enough of it, I'm sure something would happen.
So one of the things with absinthe is you have to pour it over a sugar cube. And as a former bartender, I'm sure you're aware of that. So how did you compensate for that, or do you know how they got kind of around that, or is it kind of built into the flavor? Or?
Yeah, so with our absinthe, we, especially at our speakeasy, when they serve it, it's a slow ice cold water drip.
Oh.
So we don't use sugar cube with ours because it's already sweetened enough.
Wow.
So we sweeten ours already. If you add a sugar cube, it's going to be a little too sweet. And the simple fact of having water in it actually changes it pretty significantly, the
Wow.
taste.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and I don't have a slow water drip here,
Well, you know,
but I do have some water if you want to.
that's okay. I'm not a
Playing
fan of
with
like,
it.
yeah, don't water down the drinks. That's bad. It looks very Star Trek-y, I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
Kind of Romulan Kayleigh.
Steven's a really big fan of that.
He is a big geek. Yeah, see? So there is like kind of like the slight green tint to it, so Romulan ale.
Oh yeah, he is very, very into the absinthe community.
Wow!
And I'll show you.
Ooh, that cleaned out the sinuses.
Oh yeah, that'll perk you up.
All right,
So I
try
can-
with a drop of water.
So this is going to be a little bit different than the ice cold water drip.
Oh, look at that. So you can literally see.
So some people do enjoy it without the water drip. Mostly people prefer it with the water.
Okay.
But there is a small amount of people that do enjoy it, just the absolute raw product.
Well, the raw product, very licoricey.
Right.
Very black licorice beauty. I mean, there's no mistaking it, but the flavors and everything that came through, and like I said, it wasn't lying when it like cleaned my sinuses,
Yeah.
but it's not in a bad way. It was just a very
different,
powerful kind of presence.
Right. There it is.
There it is. Yeah,
It's a good one.
that is a good one.
Yeah, the water just kind of takes away
Dilutes it a little bit.
Yeah, dilutes it a little bit, and it's almost like putting in an ice cube
Mm-hmm.
on whiskey. Almost kind of brings it down a little bit, takes that bite off of it. Not as sharp on the palate.
Yeah.
But you still can taste the product of it.
Mm-hmm. What haven't we tried? Because I have one glass.
You do.
What haven't we tried that you're like, you know what? It's not a tasting unless you've tried this.
So the gin is one of our very first products. Still one of our best selling. I've been in the industry for about 16 years. And
Oh, wow. So you are a seasoned veteran when it comes to...
alcohol.
I was going to say tending bar, but okay, yes, alcohol.
Same, you know. So I've never liked gin. I've never liked it. And then I started working here 2 years ago, and now all I drink is our gin. Well, I like our gin because it's more herbal, more botanical, lavender forward. It's still made with juniper, of course. It has to be, but it's not as piney as the other brands. So it's really good, again, by itself in something. Our gin martinis that we do at the Speakeasy, they have just gin, dry vermouth, and lemon. I love our gin. I'm like, people, when I work events, so I work all of our events, and people are like, oh, I'm not really a gin drinker. I'm not a gin drinker. And I'm like, today's the day.
Today's the try. And there are a lot of differentiators because immediately as soon as you say martini, oh, I'm not a gin drinker. So you know, and being a former bartender, you know immediately, okay, because you've had some poor experiences.
Right.
Or poor ingredients.
Right. Yeah. I've always, whiskey based is
Whiskey
what
is,
I do.
Whiskey
but,
is the way.
Right. But then I started working here and I was like, oh, this is gin? And it's delicious.
What comes through is a great flavor. It's refreshing. I don't want to say minty, but there is that kind of like refreshment that comes at the end of it.
Right.
And you can feel...
It's like clean.
It is. Just
Yeah.
this is refreshing kind of... You could sit and a mint julep,
Yes.
which would be spectacular for the summer, and that pickled onion would just work perfectly inside of that.
It can be really simple too. You don't even have to do all of that. With like, there's some tonic waters, the elderberry tonic water.
Right.
Goes really well with it. You can put it in so many different kinds of cocktails.
This is the South on a summer day.
Yes, absolutely.
This is the way.
Yeah, it's good. It's very refreshing.
It is. I feel like I could not drive. Just
So
a
I
thought.
did my job.
You did your job.
I did my job.
Way too well. Thank you.
Yes.
There you have it. Can't get any better than that. So in the meantime, run fast, laugh hard, and always be kind. Good night.